Good morning. Let me get live in all the places. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. All right. Oh, let me get it up here. And wait, let me put over here. All right, give me just a second. As you get here, make sure that you say hello. Let me know that you're here. And let's get this Sunday morning show on the road. And whoops, let's get this. There we go. Oh, one more thing. All right. Let's just see here. All right. Well, like I said, it's a beautiful Sunday morning. The sun is shining, and when I went out and took the dog for a walk this morning, it was only 72 degrees, but it felt a lot warmer because of the humidity. We've been having so many storms with the hot temperatures and everything, and so it was a little muggy, a little damp, but it's beautiful, and it just felt glorious to be able to get out there and walk. And so I'm a big proponent on being grateful for what you have. So I'm very grateful that I woke up this morning. Not everyone did. And I'm very grateful that I was able to actually physically by myself get out of bed, because a lot of people can't do that either. And when we look, good morning, Stacy. Good morning. It's good to have you here. And when we look, there are so many things in our life that we can be grateful for that other people don't have. And I was able to go downstairs. Good morning, Wendy. I love having a cup of coffee that I use the French press. So I grind my beans and I put it in there. Some people can't do that. I mean, what can you think of right now this morning? I see, since we've got a couple people here, what is it this morning that you can see that you can be eternally grateful for, because maybe you have the gift of doing that and other people may not? And and when we really look at it, I'm grateful for you. Oh, thank you, Wendy. That is so sweet. I'm grateful for you too. Um, I love having a gratitude journal that I can put things in. But even if I don't have something to write it in, I'm constantly in my mind as I'm going through my day. For those of you who don't remember, I was having a really big issue with my hip, and it's not completely gone. I got this tingle going down my leg, and I'll be honest, I was having a little bit of issue before I went to the gym and had the personal trainer, and he did these exercises that were these different stretchings, and he actually stretched me. And one of the times that he was doing that, I felt this pop, it was an audible sound too, and it's like it was very painful in the moment too. It felt a little bit better after, but that's the leg that's given me the biggest problem. So I don't know what it is, but if I can get up, I have asthma and I'm grateful I can breathe. Yes, Wendy, beautiful, beautiful. And there's as I'm dealing with these different things with my leg, I think, but I can walk, I can do all these things. Some of them may be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment because I'm working on it. I've been doing all these different stretching exercises, strength building exercises. I'm trying to get an appointment at my chiropractor to maybe get it better, right? Because I'm used to just bouncing around and walking 2 to 4 miles, and I can't do that right now. But I can walk up and down the steps. I can do my work. I can take the dog out. I can do all those things. Granted, I'm not doing it as fast as I normally am. And so it gets my nerves a little bit because it's not something I'm used to. But I think, man, oh man, does it give me so much empathy for people that maybe I haven't had as much empathy for? That let's see. Seth came home from cruise with COVID. I'm grateful I'm clear. Beautiful. Yes. And I think when you said something to me, it was a mild case and you just kind of had the sniffles and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it continues to be that way. Um, I actually have clients that come into my salon that have had it like 5 or 6 times. And it's like, wow, you know, and done fine with it. Now, one lady, I will admit, she lost a lot of hair from it, but she's doing well. Um, but so when we look at the things that are around us and we can recognize how grateful we can be for what we have, oh, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and jump in to our affirmation and our journal prompt. Oh, wait a minute. I misspelled affirmation. I missed a letter. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, I think that's right. I'm looking at it. It's so funny sometimes, like, my nails get in the way sometimes with the keyboards, and I really need to cut them back again, but I will, "He's still clear," 3rd time. Oh, okay. Um, is that I'll be typing things out, and I'll end up my nail will just all it has to do is just barely touch one of the other keys, and it'll have all kinds of stuff in there, right? Or I will miss like, when I try to do a cap sometimes, I will end up not touching the letter enough, so or the number enough, whatever it is. All right. So the affirmation for today is I get to choose my story. And I think this is really powerful because for me, I love the idea that I can choose my story. And, I talk about this kind of stuff quite often about how we can look at the things that have happened in our life and we can decide, whether that is something that is a powerful story or something that is a bad story, if it's something that puts us in the victim place, all of these different things, we get to choose. So it's like, what is that? Oh, I've got to really got to get better at these quotes and knowing exactly who says them, but it doesn't really matter as long as there's the quote of, you know, whether things are good or bad. Good morning, Stacy. It's so good to see you. It's whether things are good or bad. It's thinking makes it so. Something like that. Whether you think it's right or it's wrong, you're right. Either one. And then the other one is, and I'm butchering it, I'm sure, but it doesn't matter what happens to us. It's how we perceive and internalize what happens to us, right? That's what gives it the meaning. It's not the actual event, it's how we feel about it that actually creates within us, right? And I know for myself, I've had many things that have happened that in the beginning it was like I could see no gift in it whatsoever. It's like, holy shit, this should not have happened. I don't understand how this could have happened. And I would go down that rabbit hole of despair and victimhood. Because I'm not perfect by any means, right? And so the thing is, many times I've dropped into that place. And the thing that has saved me is that all of these this work that I do, the people that I'm around, the things that I learn, I've learned that if I can catch it as quick as possible and start looking at it differently, then it changes. It doesn't change what happened. it changes how I feel about what happened, and therefore changes my body's response to what happened, right? And so we're looking at the story of our life. We're looking at maybe what's going on around us now, the story we're telling. So let's just look at it. So what is something that's going on in your life right now that maybe let's go for the negative, okay? Let's look at something that may be going on in your life that's not as good as you would like it to be. Something's not right about it, whether it's, about family, it's about work, or it's about us, our bodies, whatever it may be. What is one thing that keeps coming up for you? And it happens to be part of the story that you tell. And so, for example, when I was one of the things, and I've talked about this before, car trouble. Okay. So as when I was younger, the story that I told myself was a story that some other people told me about me, right? It was that I never finished anything. And I know I talk about this a lot because to me it's a big deal, because I wasn't born thinking I'll never finish anything. I start things all the time I'll never finish, right? It was something that somebody told me. I'm not enjoying Seth being sick. It's grossly inconvenient. That's a dose of transparency right there, right? So anyway, some of you may remember, because I've talked about this before, but my father's mother, my grandmother, I didn't even call her grandmother. I called her by her first name, right? We weren't close by any means. And we went to visit her before I went to college. And I had gotten into the college that I wanted to get into. Now, there be it, one of my, just to backtrack a little bit, one of my friends from high school, and I'm still friends with her on Facebook, but I haven't seen her in many, 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 many years, right? Or actually had a conversation with her in many, many, many years. But we were close friends back then, right? And she was brilliant, brilliant. Her whole family was brilliant. I mean, I was always amazed with how smart she was. And maybe she hung around with me because I wasn't so smart. I don't know. However, one of the things that she said to me that broke my heart after I throws everything off, yes, after I took my SATs and everything, she said, damn it, why is this going to make me cry? That makes no sense whatsoever. There must be something there, right? She said, Vicki, oh my gosh, you will never get into college with that score. Now she had the second highest score for that day, for that year in Georgia. And she was probably pretty high nationwide, right? So she was exceptionally smart. I mean, she spoke several languages. Her lineage was German. We could go to her house for a 4th of July celebration. Everybody there, even the little kids that would come to visit, they all knew multiple languages. Like the kids themselves would speak in whatever language you spoke to them in, right? And her brother tested for a language or something when he went into college, and he was like so fluent in these languages that he spoke that he was like past the teacher kind of thing. And so this was the people. That was what they were. I didn't even speak a second language. I did get into college though. And then my grandmother said, I don't know why you're doing that. You'll never finish. And I didn't. I got married and I didn't finish. So later on, I went back to college. I didn't finish again. I started art school. I didn't finish that either. And I could give you time and time again that I started something and I didn't finish. So my story, and obviously it's still there to a certain extent, right? My story was, and it started with what my grandmother said to me, I don't finish things, right? So as soon as my story became, I don't finish things, that became a story because I lived it out. It's what is it they call it? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So as soon as you adopt the story that somebody says about you or to you, you do all kinds of things that make it true. We don't consciously decide, okay, I'm going to start this. I know I'm not going to finish because they said this. We don't consciously do that, right? It just happens. And the thing is, some people think, look at you, wonderful you, and the tremendous amount of influence you have on us. Oh, thank you, Wendy. But like some people are told early on, especially girls, that you're not good at math. Now, they're not given an opportunity to be good at math because suddenly they're already given that label. And let's say you're in school and your teacher, your math teacher ask the class a question and you raise your hand and you get it wrong. And as soon as you get it wrong, it solidifies this fact that you're not good at math. It doesn't matter if you're in the second grade, right? It solidifies it. And so therefore, from that point on, as you internalize what they said, you just got evidence of it and you say, ooh, that means I'm not good at math. Then you stop really working toward it, right? And so it may have happened when you were in the second grade, but people say that about girls a lot. They're not good at science and math. And that is so not true. But we may take an ownership of that. And once you take ownership of it, it's yours and you're going to live it out and you're going to prove it all the time until something happens to disprove it. So like I was listening to somebody this morning, and one of the things that he said was that he had an experience where several of the students, like what grade did he say? He said he was in like the 4th or 5th grade, that several of the students were called up to the chalkboard and they were supposed to solve these math problems. And he was having a hard time with his math problems. So the rest of them were already finished. They went and sat down and he's sweating trying to figure this problem out on the board. And he starts hearing laughter behind him. And then the teacher said something to him. I don't remember exactly what it was, but something to the effect of, well, you're really having a hard time at math. You're not good at math, whatever it may be. And so he was so embarrassed and ridiculed about the fact that he couldn't figure it out, that he thought he was stupid and he was not good at math. And then years later, he discovered when he started working in a certain business that numbers were kind of cool. And he discovered that he was good at math, but he had spent many years with the idea that he wasn't smart and he wasn't good at math, because to him, it was the same thing. If you weren't good at math, you weren't smart. And so that's a story that we tell, right? So when you're looking at the stories that you tell, are they true, right? So we get to choose our story. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the journal prompt. Give me just a second, get it up. Oh, maybe. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it back up here. Let's see if that does it. Oh, I misspelled journal too. Wait a minute. I was right fast, I guess. All right, let's see if that shows up right. All right, hold on a second. Jeez Louise. Journal. Let's see if that one does it. Oh, heck. Give me just a second. It's not coming up the way I want it to. All right, let me take that away. I made it too long, I believe. All right. All right, here we go. It took me a minute and I do apologize. I hope my story is true and authentic. Okay. It can be if you choose to have it that way, right? So, our journal prompt is to grab your favorite pen and make a list of stories in your life. Just whatever comes up. Like I just shared the story of what my grandmother said to me. And that was when I went to college. There was a lot before that, and there was a lot after. But just whether it's you feel like it's a story that you still hold negative feelings to, like I didn't think I would cry again about that story, right? But for some reason that got me this morning. I don't know why. I'll be researching on that today, right? So for each story, find the hidden gift that can help you change the stories you tell. So it's like the thing that came from that story with my grandmother is that I realized that I was internalizing something that she had said to me that I did not have to take ownership of. I did not have to do that. And even if, like, I did get married and quit college, and there's a story there that I've told myself. And one of the things was later on when I said something to someone about I got married and quit college, they said, couldn't you have done both? But for whatever reason, in my mind at that time, no, it wasn't like that was not an option. I did not even occur to me to continue. For one thing, I was going to college in another state, and where I lived was, and where I got married was not in that state. And I don't know, but it's a time, it gives me an opportunity to reflect. Why was it that felt like not an option, right? And so I can look at these stories in my life and see what the lesson is that I learned. And the lesson I learned from that thing from my grandmother was that, she didn't know, right? She was just saying something. I don't know why she felt the need to say that. I have no idea. Like I said, we were never close. And so why did I even listen to her? So obviously, maybe in some ways, maybe I didn't want to finish. I don't know. Maybe it was easier to blame her for putting that in my mind for my marriage to quit. I don't know. I'll be looking at that. But it doesn't matter why I quit. It's what's it tell about me? What is my story come from that? And like I said, there's like when I got divorced, what did he say? I never we go to court and he tells the judge, I never finish anything. Well, that's not true. There were a few things I didn't finish. Like when I was with him was when I started back to college. That's when I went to art school. That's when I did several of these things that I didn't finish, but I did finish a lot of things. And so if I went and looked at the things that I did finish, I could dispel that story. But the thing is that I learned, like I've shared before, when I had my human design session done, then I discovered that one of my gifts and talents is that I don't finish everything because there's sometimes it's not the right time for me to finish. Maybe it doesn't resonate with me. Maybe I thought it was exactly what I needed, but it wasn't. And I have the ability to decide, that this doesn't work for me or it doesn't work for me now instead of plowing through and not getting what I needed from it, right? Because not everything's for the right, that everything you're doing, it's not actually in the right time, maybe. And so now I can look at it as one of my talents that I can discern really quickly if it's benefiting me and benefiting the people that around me to continue with that. And if it's not, it's like, okay, it's okay to step away and say, I'll look at this again later. So what is the story that's going on for you, right? So like I said, for each one, you're going to find the hidden gifts that can help you change the stories you tell. And then turn those plot twists into power-ups. Turn those plot twists and things that give you power and help you to recognize your gift and talent of what you thought was something wrong. So, what's the story that you tell to yourself all the time? Maybe it's the story you tell others. Like for instance, I have a friend that says that she's always late. That's just who she is. But why is that? Is it because she was late a few times and somebody said, "Oh my gosh, you just have no concept of time. You're always late." And then they internalize that because anything that we do repetitively, right, is a habit. And we can change not only the stories we tell, we can change the habits that we have. We can make a decision that maybe we don't want to be late for everything. Now, see, my habit around time is that I had rather be 30 minutes early than 5 minutes late. And that's something that was ingrained in me growing up and then solidified more as I became an entrepreneur. Because the story that I heard was if you're on time, you're late because you're supposed to be there ready to go, right? And so a lot of times for the lives, I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for time to pop in. And then so I'll pop in at the right moment. But then when I do that, it seems like it's a longer stretch before somebody pops on. And so now I've gotten where I can be a little more relaxed. So it's okay to pop in on a minute or two after. Sometimes it's a little bit more because maybe then I get distracted on the phone or something, and I don't chastise myself for doing that because it gives people an opportunity to get on, right? So it can be a slippery slope on either end, right? But we get to decide. Let me see, so I can quit looking at I came from a family that was habitually late, so I became habitually early. Okay. Well, my my husband was he was late for everything, and he wasn't when we were dating. It was bizarre. He was always on time. And well, I take that back. There was a couple of times he was late, and it was because he was cleaning up his truck, right? So that it'd be nice and clean when I got in, because he worked in construction and stuff, right? And it didn't occur to me that he would be notoriously late. But after we got married, he would be, at the time we were supposed to be leaving to go somewhere, he would suddenly start cleaning the truck. Or that's when he would decide, oh, I need to go do this. Or he would wait till the last minute to get in the shower. And then he would just be getting out of the shower when it was time for us to go. So I began lying about what time we had to be somewhere by 15 minutes, then 30 minutes. And I finally got to the point where I lied about an hour about what time we had to be somewhere, because we ended up one Christmas, he was doing all these things, and we didn't get to my family's gathering until everybody had already opened gifts, because we were over an hour late. And it was like we were the only ones that weren't there. They just went ahead and went without us. And it was like I was so mad and just frustrated and angry with him. And so that's when I decided, okay, I know this about him. Why am I giving myself this frustration? Just tell him a different story. He doesn't know. And so I started lying about what time we had to be somewhere by about an hour. Sometimes it was even more. And one particular time, somehow we ended up being on time, which to him meant we were way early. And he said, wow, I can't believe everybody's early. It's because everybody was on time. But it was definitely an adjustment for me, because like I said, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. Like my parents owned a hair salon, and you show up an hour late to the opening the hair salon, you ain't going to be in business for very long, because you've got clients that are expecting you, employees that are expecting you. You have to get everything set up, everything going, right? So that's why my mother and my father always told me that if you're on time, you're late, is because if I have my first clients at 9 a.m. and I show up at 9 a.m., I'm going to be late starting that client, because I got to get everything set up. I can't just walk in the door and the client be there and start, because there's more of a process, right? So this was just ingrained in me. So that is part of my habitual stuff. And I really have to collect myself sometimes when I get frustrated at others that don't do the same thing, right? And I'm a Virgo, so maybe there's part of it, right? All right, so let's go back to our affirmation. I get to choose my story. And that is a powerful, powerful thing to say. I get to choose my story. I get to choose if I'm late, if I'm on time. I get to choose if I start and finish, or start and don't finish. And it doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, just own it, right? And then, put this on your index card, your sticky notes, your screensaver on your phone, wherever you can put it, so that you can be reminded today that you do get to choose your story. And your story, changing your story, doesn't really change what happened. Remember, it changes how you feel about what happened and what you decide about what happened, right? So we can decide that this thing that happened to us in the past puts us as a victim. I've got some of those too, right? Got quite a bit of those, unfortunately, or fortunately, because I learned so much from every one of them. And so you get to choose, do you want to let that be the reason why you don't move forward in life, or the reason that you don't accomplish things, or the reason why you can't do whatever it is that you want to do? Or do you want to look at it as a reason why you can? Like I said, on my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality, There are so many amazing stories in there, and each one of those people could use the reason that something happened to them is the reason why they sat down and did nothing. They could use it as an excuse for having this mediocre life and having someone completely have to be taken care of. And they could use those stories for all of that stuff, right? Because there's some stories in there, I'm telling you. But the people that tell these stories, they didn't use that as a reason. They used it not as a reason of why they couldn't do something, but they used it as the reason why they could. The thing that projected them into this beautiful place in their life that they're so grateful they're in, right? So you get to choose what it means to you. And that's what it is about choosing your story. You get to decide what it means. All right, so now let's get to our journal prompt. So get your favorite pen, make a list of the stories in your life. And for each one, find the hidden gift. Remember, it's a hidden gift. You may have to look at it for a little bit, right? And maybe you have to have help. It's okay. Ask for help. But you can change the stories you tell, and we'll turn those plot twists into power-ups. And wouldn't that be amazing to take some of these stories that maybe have been holding us back and look at them as plot twist of, your hero's journey and how that thing is the thing that created this amazing you. Because you're amazing, whether you see it or not. All right, so let me look real quick and see. All right, so as we are finishing up today, I want to make sure that I tell you to get your affirmation or your journal, get your notebook, put the date, the affirmation, and the journal prompt, and then just spend a little bit of time in silence in this moment to just brain dump whatever comes up. And then don't judge it, just do it. And then after that, then you can look at it and see what is the hidden gift that each one of those stories can tell you. And then change the story, right? Change the meaning. So if you're here watching live, I'm so excited that you're here. And if you had to drop off early, that's okay too. Just put hashtag replay if you're here watching the replay, but play with us. Let's give us some answers. Let us know what's going on and how we can support you or how I can support you. And so if you have the opportunity, go into the group, the Stand Up and Stand Out community, which is where a lot of you are signing in from. And just look at your story and tell a new one, right? But not only tell it, feel it, feel it. And that's what doing this process is going to do. It's going to help you feel differently about it, not just tell something different about it, right? And if you're not part of the Stand Up and Stand Out community, have an amazing story day. Thank you, Wendy. But if you're not part of the Stand Up and Stand Out community, it's very easy to get in. And we have amazing guest expert that come in all the time. I've actually got one coming up. Wendy is going to be on the 24th, which is Wednesday at 7 p.m. She's going to be doing something that's really fun. And she's going to be teaching us about AI. And how to create things with AI. So it's going to be very, very good and fun to do. And she's the relationship nerd, but she uses this a lot in her copy, her post and everything. And so she's so gifted at it. And I really wanted to know some of the stuff that she's doing. And so she said, well, let's just share with your group. I said, that's perfect. So she will be sharing. And then I have Thompson on the 29th, and I haven't got the event set up yet, but she's actually going to be helping us to see how to make more money and pay less tax. Who doesn't want to know how to do that, right? Ah, yes, me too, Wendy. I'm looking forward to Wednesday too. It's going to be so fun. Hidden gifts. Hi, Julie. Hi, Julie. It's good to see you here. We're just closing up, and I'm just going to real quick, since you just popped in, I'm going to share the affirmation with you really quick. And it is, I get to choose my story. And it's a little bit like what you're doing, right, Julie? Julie has the Hidden Gifts of Loss test. And she has a group on Facebook where she helps people, and I've been a guest on her podcast. She helps people see the hidden gifts in the loss of a loved one or the loss of something, some loss, right? And so we're talking today about the gifts of our story and how we can find those hidden things in the stories that we tell about our lives, and how maybe those stories are not true completely. And it's the thing that I shared a little bit ago, Julie, that I'll just share really quick, is some of those quotes about, it's, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change, right? And there's the quote that it's not what happens to you in life, it's how you interpret the things that happen to you in life. It's how the story you tell about it. And so that's what this is about. It's like all the stories, all the things that you tell about your life, whether it's that you're bad at math, you're a quitter, you're not smart, nobody will love you, you're not good enough. What are those stories that you have so many things that are evidence of that story? And it's finding the evidence there and looking at it through a different lens. Remember, the lens that we look at the world through is what we see. And just really quick, that, I talk a lot about that we have 50 billion bits of information that come at us per second. That's all around us, right? Everything from the sounds, the things, the people, everything. And we are only privy to about 2,000 bits per second. That's the things that we can see because of our lens of the world. So there can be so many amazing things around us and we don't even see them. It's not that they're not there. It's that we are not open to seeing them. Just like when you buy a new car and you've never seen them on the road. Like that's what happened to me with my Prius. I never saw them in the road. I didn't see them, nothing. When I decided to get one, it's because I saw this ad and I thought, oh, that sounds intriguing. Let me check it out. And then I bought my car, and then lo and behold, they were everywhere. Well, see, they were there the whole time. But what I saw before I bought that car was I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee, right? And what did I see when I came out of the store? The Jeeps. I didn't see the Prius. I saw the Jeeps. Once I got the Prius, I saw the Prius. And so it's what you're focusing on is demonstrated with your 2,000 bits. So all we have to do to change what's showing up for us, what we recognize, what we see, is to change our story. So today, look at what's habitually showing up in your life. What is the story that you tell yourself all the time? And then look at it and see, even if there's evidence out the wazoo, you look at it and see those things that are evidence of that thing about me. How can I interpret them in a different way? Right? So the words may be the same. It's just like I used to tell my son, You know, you can say a horrible thing in a nice way to a dog, and if you say it in a nice way, it only hears a nice thing. It doesn't hear the actual words you say because the words are irrelevant. It is how you feel about those words. And it's the same with us in our life. It's not exactly that event that means what we think about it and what we feel about it. So let's get back to our journal prompt. Grab your favorite pen and make a list of stories. Just list them out, brain dump as many as show up. Especially if there's one thing that's really grating you right now about your life. Write out all the stories that support that. And then for the story, you find the hidden gifts. I'm in my camper and I brought my journal and got my coffee. Perfect start to a beautiful day. Ah, oh, wonderful, Julie. Wonderful. And I hope you got all the wasp things taken care of. That was quite fun. Well, I know it wasn't for you, but it was for me. It was like, she looks like a beekeeper from I don't know where, but it was beautiful. And I loved you sharing that. And so let's turn these, beautiful. Let's turn all of these things into a plot twist of the reasons why we can be who we want to be, why we can do the things we want to in life, why we can inspire people, why we can be smart, why we can finish what we start, right? Yes, you did turn it into a one-woman show. But let's start looking at the stories in our life, not as the reasons why we can't do what we want to do, but the reasons why we can. And all we have to do is retell our story. So that is your challenge for today, right? To retell your stories, get the journaling going, and take some time to just really center into it and just feel it in your heart and just let all that shit out, right? Stop holding it in, let it out, and just pour and pour and pour into it. And you are going to be shocked when you come back in 3 months, 6 months, a year, and you look at this one journal session that you had, all the things that came up and how that was so big for changing the trajectory of things in your life. And it can be if you choose to make it that way. Decide now that that's your goal. All right. So as Wendy so eloquently always has a good ending for us, have an amazing story day. And I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. If you have the opportunity to share with me privately or in the group, whatever works for you. And I will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern in the group. And mwah.